Hi, I'm Jeff, and I'm a therapist.
And I'm Tyler, and I'm a patient.
We're going to talk about trauma, healing, and everything. Everything is traumatic.
Like us being told that you get to get old and retire, and everything gets better. Yeah, you get to enjoy. It's like everything just gets so much better when you get older. It's like I don't think that's the way it works fundamentally.
If we could put like that whole thing on a bumper sticker that you just said, that would be great.
We've only been living past 30 for like 15 years or something like that.
Yeah.
Is that the slogan? Is we've been 30?
We've only been living 30 for 15 years.
Oh, welcome to Everything is Dramatic. I tried to get some of Ken's speech. I think I got the last tell in of it, but it was fucking beautiful, and I think it
It was
encapsulated.
beautiful.
We can do it. We can redo it.
Can you remember all that?
Yeah, I just said that the other day. That was all a true story. I just had this whole conversation about that subject. I've got that one locked in.
Okay, well let's introduce ourselves. My name's Tyler.
I'm Jeff.
And I'm Ken.
We're joined with Ken tonight.
Yep.
Ken's a good friend of mine, good friend of Jeff. I feel like you guys. I think I could say that you guys are good friends.
Yeah,
I feel like there's
absolutely.
a click.
I feel like we are really just getting to know each other, but I feel like I really
Absolutely.
like Ken.
Friend is on
I
that
like
tier.
Ken more than I like you, Tyler.
Yeah.
That's how it goes usually.
Yeah, I have this thing, Jeff, that people actually do really like me. It's part of mytism,
Mhm.
is that I'm a mirror. I'm like it is a thing. It annoys my girlfriend.
You're a
It,
fucking Z-leg.
like
Is what you are. You just
I go to
blend
like
in.
I go to like a family function or a family event, and I'm like the uncles love me, the aunts love me. It's like I'm like the guy everybody just really people really are magnetized towards me for some reason, especially in that public setting.
Mm.
When I'm a little bit more flamboyant,
Mhm.
I get party Ken.
Oh,
Holiday
God.
Ken comes
And
out.
Yeah, no, I saw this in full effect at Joe's wedding. It
Yeah.
was beautiful.
Wedding Ken is in that holiday.
God, it was so beautiful. I'd never I don't know how to describe it other than magical.
There was a moment where somebody tossed me a Coors Light, and I don't really drink at all, just on these occasions. I don't drink hardly at all ever. Somebody tossed me a Coors Light. I cracked it. Then they tossed me the key. This lady tosses me her keys. What? There was
Ken, hold on. Let me give you the outside perspective of this story.
Tyler was standing there.
So here's what happened.
I was practically blacked out with joy.
So Joe and Matilda's family were coming in for the wedding, and we were parking the cars or directing them where to park their cars.
Yeah, we
and
were
stuff.
helping out the wedding.
And we were trying to transport people from like where the parking lot is to where like the actual wedding was happening, because it was like maybe like not even half a mile away.
Not even. It was just through a little field.
And so this
They didn't want anybody to roll an ankle.
Yeah, because they were older.
Right.
And the lady, one of Joe's extended family, was like, well, you guys can use my car to shuttle people. And she's talking to Brandon Hill about this, and Brandon's like, oh, I'm not I'm not driving the car, it's he is. And as he says he is and points into the direction, I look over and there's Ken, and he has a Coors Light, cracks it, and he's like, yep, for sure, dude. And like takes the keys and is just transporting everyone. And there was also like this Gator vehicle there that we were going to use, and we used it to transport people back to their cars. And Ken got roped into it. And every time he was going to back out, Jeff, I want you to imagine, Jeff, the Kubrick stare. Are you familiar with the Kubrick stare?
I am.
When he would like, you know how you put your arm around to back up,
And you're turning
and you turn, yeah. As he would turn, he would look straight at me and give me the Kubrick look, but with like this devilish smile, and was just like, and then just backs up, just losing it.
So, with a retelling of it, it sounds different because with the first telling, it's like I got thrown a beer, cracked it open, and then a lady threw me her keys. It sounds like it's going a different direction, and then your version is more of a sort of the behind the scenes, what really happened.
Yes,
like behind the music.
and both of them are correct. Because, I mean, of course, Ken was probably just tossed a Coors.
Yeah, I literally
Probably
was.
just tossed the keys.
I was.
We woke. What time did we wake up? Because we woke up super early, and I woke up to you and
I
Ace.
don't know. There was some other factors in play as well on my part, but
Oh, same here. I went to bed at like 5 a.m. and woke up at like 7.
right. And we were just trying to help out the wedding, but I was also not going to sacrifice a good time and being nice to people. I can do all that at the same time.
Oh my God! One of my favorite things was
I'm a customer service. I'm very good at customer service. So when I get in that mode too, like helping people,
dude. The
man.
actual wedding. That was my first wedding to ever like go to. And,
Really,
like,
it was such a good one.
it was so good, and like I cried.
My God, I cried.
I cried.
Yeah, how
Yeah,
could
that
you
was
not
beautiful.
have? Matilda's father gave the most heartfelt
Speech.
father
Yeah, I know.
speech. I'm still in just awe of that man's speaking ability. He brought that whole. If you weren't crying in that room, you are literally a sociopath. There's no way.
Well, I'm surprised that Tyler was crying then.
I know. His face always,
I
it looks like it's
recall
about
Tyler
3
not-
degrees from crying all the time.
Always, yeah, because it's true. All it takes
Tyler
is
didn't even come to my wedding.
I wasn't alive.
That's probably true. I got married in 1997.
Okay, I was 5 years old.
All right.
I got married.
That's a good excuse.
I got married to my ex-wife in 2005, I think, or 2006, one of those two.
I was in
8th grade, 9th grade. Yeah.
I didn't even know you, Ken. I didn't meet you
I
until
know.
after high school.
Right, I know.
Was it after high school?
No, you were still in high school because I saw Lead Knuckle play.
Yeah, that's right.
So you were still in high school.
Yeah.
I don't know if we had met then, but I'd seen you guys play and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, but one of my favorite things from the wedding, and then we'll get on to our topic, was maybe it was like the pastor person, whoever like came up was just like, "Oh, these boys look like trouble."
Oh no, that was the one of the grandpa's brother.
Okay, I was like, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
He came up and it was like me, Ken, and like the boys, like basically.
Yeah. Joe.
And he was like, "You boys look like trouble." And Ken was like, "Actually, we just look like a bunch of fucking assholes." God damn it.
He loved it.
I know. Like, I loved
He would,
it.
if he had a cigar, he would have gave it to me right then.
Oh, God, he would have. Man. Oh, man. And we get to relive all of that potentially in May.
Yeah, they do a family function that's kind of like what that wedding was, where they all get together. They call it French Fest. They live right on the right. Is it the French Broad River, or is it the Chesapeake Bay?
Yeah, because it's like fucking 8.
It's Chesapeake.
It's like 8 hours away, 10 hours.
It's the Chesapeake.
Oh wow, Chesapeake Bay.
Yeah, it's right on the bay. They literally live right on the water, and they have this big dock that's pointed right at the sunset. It's like insane.
Wow.
I don't know if it's because of the state that I was in the last time I saw it, but it was one of the most magnificent things I'd ever seen in my life. It was insane.
Yeah.
Sunset.
There was no light pollution. It was a clear sky.
That sun was just fire. It went down and lit up the whole entire sky with beautiful colors. I was in awe. Just that whole weekend was great.
It was great. Well, okay, the wedding was great. I didn't stay for the weekend, but
did you leave early?
I did. I left after the wedding. What?
Was there food at the wedding?
Oh yeah, they roasted a pig. They had this.
Wow.
They had this big trailer that this guy pulled in, and they tied this pig to this rack that spun it. It was like a big spit, but the pig was on. It was like insane. And they had piles and piles of potato salad.
Nice. I like potato salad.
Yeah.
Oh God, potato salad.
It was like the only thing that was left the next day. There was like a whole cooler full of it. I was like, my God, we'll just live on potato salad, I guess.
Did the pig make it through the weekend, or was it?
It was completely gone. The next day we were picking it clean for the
All right.
breakfast, you
So
know.
it didn't live.
Oh,
It was
no.
dead.
It was dead.
Oh, yeah. We ate that pig,
All right.
the whole thing.
Now, we're on the subject of weddings, and I kind of like, I guess I'm intrigued like how your guys' weddings were. More so, I'm particularly obsessed with the picture you showed me, Jeff, of your groomsman cake.
Oh, the weasel cake.
The weasel cake. Yes, I've been obsessed with it ever since you showed it to me.
Is that like a groomsman cake, like a tradition? Like the groom
Yeah,
gets
well,
you a prostitute and a cake.
I think the tradition is usually like a white cake and a brown cake. So like a chocolate cake and a white cake.
Right.
And so we had the white cake or the whatever, the vanilla cake. And then for the groom's cake, I was making a joke and I said, well, why don't you do like a weasel cake? Because I really like weasels.
Right.
And the lady that was making the cakes got incredibly excited, pulled out a book that she had that was like of animals, like an animal
Like
sort of
cake.
like reference guide, and said, "How about this?" And she turned to a page of a weasel with I guess, a mouse in its mouth standing over a log. And I'm like, I was just sort of kidding. And I looked at my in-laws, and they were like, "That's your cake." And I'm like,
The confirmation.
the lady was so excited because she was so bored at making normal cakes. So we had the weasel on a log, and it was the talk of the wedding. People were like, "Why do you have that?"
Why wouldn't
And I
I?
always said, "Well, my father was killed by a weasel." So
I love a good somebody died story that you tell other
yeah,
people.
yeah,
I worked in a retail fish market for a long time that had a pretty like locally famous guy that there was always stories about him. His name was Captain Paul, and he was like this legendary dude, right? Like legendary entrepreneur, fisherman, whatever, like tall tale type of guy, right? And so people would come into the shrimp dock and they would be like, "Hey, does Paul still on this place?" And I go, "Oh, you know what? Paul died like 5 years ago, but Paul's not dead. I'm actually friends with him." And I would
yeah.
tell him this big story about how he got struck by lightning and then his brother buried him in Florida, and he hated Florida. He was from Louisiana, but he wasn't actually. He's actually from New Jersey. He's a New Jersey guy. But but the legend is that he was from Louisiana and that he was like this big Cajun fisherman, but he really wasn't. He was from like that was his whole stick, you know. He was really a good actor, despite what he thought. He thought he was a good businessman. He really was just a good actor.
I
But
love making fun of. I love that kind of joke where you just say, "Yeah, they're dead" or whatever, and it's just like they have no idea, and then you just make the story.
oh
You
man,
just sort of tell the tale.
yeah, I got to do it several times at the shrimp dock. Every time someone would come in and ask for Paul, I would tell him he was dead.
That's great.
Jeez. But was he dead?
No, he's alive and fine. He's selling sunglasses on the beach. The last time I heard.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Good for him.
Yeah.
Good for Paul.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm kind of intrigued by your guys' weddings because I've never been married. I've looked at some potential partners and was like, I could see myself marrying them, but like I've always been intrigued of like how a wedding goes. I guess I don't know.
Right. Well, my wedding was it was like at the courthouse. I was very young. It was a young kid wedding, you know.
Young kid wedding. Young kid
Whoa,
weddings
whoa, whoa.
is tracking.
That did not last
It was
very long. It was very traumatic, yes. But
I
have a
feel like that's probably the way to go.
right. I mean, we got a kid. We're actually me and my ex-wife, my kid's mother. We were actually very good friends. We
That's
don't
nice.
we don't like hang out or anything, but we are very good co-parents. We don't like there's no qualms between us at all. We've been
Very
separated
nice.
for 14 years. It's not like something
Yeah.
anymore. But at the time, it was very traumatic for me. But I hope that my next wedding will be more traditional. Like I would like to give, I would like to have that traditional wedding with somebody. I think.
Yeah. I think a traditional wedding is nice. I think it's so expensive and it's so stress inducing.
Right.
That the whole idea, I enjoyed my wedding, but we were so stressed and so worn out that the idea of just going to the courthouse or just doing a very small wedding appeals to me now if we got remarried or whatever, and then doing a party maybe weeks later. It
Right.
was just so traumatic. There are so many moving pieces and so many things that could go wrong, and you just feel like you have to be on the whole time, and
Right.
it's beautifully it's beautiful, but it's very, very stressful.
I believe that. The place where I work at the farm, we're developing that as a wedding venue.
Mm,
So the property is huge, and they want to have events out there, weddings and stuff, or have the ability to be able to do that. And
weddings
so,
cost like 30, 40 grand now. It's
right,
insane.
and for this property, it's 65 acres. That's all fenced in. We're going to have horses with carriages and animals.
Mm,
We've got all the animals. We've got a
yeah,
food forest that we're working on, so people could potentially go forage for their own food, and you know what I'm
mm,
saying, or go. You know what I'm like. They could have a chef come and milk a bunch of sheeps and have like sheep cheese and like
nice,
some high end stuff could happen in the
very
right
nice.
atmosphere at this place, and that's kind of what they're going for. They're going for a real like make your dreams come true type of place. If you need animals, if you want a chef, if you want this, if you want that, well, we're going to be able to provide it.
The best part of the wedding, there were many nice moments and really special moments, but the best part that I think, felt enjoyed the most was getting on the plane the next day to leave town and get away from all the stress and hecticness.
I
Because
bet.
the closer it gets, the more crazy it gets. And it's just like, I just wanted it over after a while. It was great at first, and then it's just like, I'm really ready to go home.
And you're still married, Jeff?
Yeah, I think
Oh,
so.
nice. You got to
No,
check
well,
you got
no,
to check every morning.
she just recently passed away.
Oh,
Yeah, Ken,
No,
she actually
we're still
died.
married.
So being in a wedding is traumatic, is what I'm gathering.
Definitely.
oh yeah.
It, it's I don't like I like going to weddings. I don't like being a part of the bridal or groom's party because then you have to
Do
dress up, you have to be on, you have to go to rehearsals and things like that. So it's much more fun to go to a wedding, get your food and drink,
Yeah,
say hello, and then dance or leave or whatever. But being part of the bridal party is stressful.
I could see that. I could see that.
Mm-hmm.
I I've never been a part of a wedding, so I don't think I've.
You got to rent a tux.
Yeah,
Oh, you never been a part of the wedding? I mean, I haven't either, but that's just so sad hearing it from you, Ken.
yeah, I've never been part of a wedding. I don't think.
Y'all are young though. I mean, y'all got
Yeah,
plenty of weddings to be part of.
Is that when weddings like hit their stride? Is like in the 30s? Because it seems like everyone in my age group got married pretty fucking young.
yeah, but we all got married like I did, not at the courthouse real quick. None of us had money for a real wedding, and
Yeah.
mine was very hasty. It wasn't for the right decisions. It was for it. It just was trying to make my ex-wife feel happy about her life. She was just trying everything, and we thought maybe
Mm-hmm.
getting married was going to be the answer, and it just wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
Mm,
And she just really had to find her own path and make her own self happy. She was very unhappy just with herself, and she couldn't overcome that. Having a child didn't help. Getting married didn't help. It was like, all these things that she was like, well, maybe
Yeah.
if I just have a child, maybe if I just get married,
Yep.
it wasn't, and none of that was working to make her happy. And so she just really had to go on her own journey, and she's done that, and she is currently happy, and everything worked out for it. But
Mm-hmm.
getting married wasn't the right decision for sure for me at the time.
yeah, I think that's amazing that she went on that journey because we always try to fill ourselves from the outside,
Right.
and ultimately that's never going to work. We have to
Mm-mm.
fill ourselves from ourselves, and then we can be happy.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right, right. It took her. She went down a real deep and dark road to figure it out. So I'm glad that she did
Mm,
too, and I'm glad that she's on the other side of it, so that my kid can have a mother that's functional and happy.
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
That's what
definitely.
matters, the most.
Yeah. No, 100%. It is. I mean, Jeff, you're absolutely right. Like, we do kind of look outward instead of inward.
for confirmation. A lot of us do, and that's it's a big hurdle that I think is that stops people. And
Yeah, I feel like life is such a journey, and I mean these things sound sort of quaint and sort of silly, but yeah, I mean we're just always on this journey to try to figure stuff out. And you figure something out and you have some peace, and then something else comes up and you got to figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. You get to the top of the hill and you look up and there's just another hill.
There's more.
Every hill, there's more. It never goes down, back down.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I was saying. That's what I was saying just the other day when I was talking about that conversation. I was saying that life always gets worse. It never gets better. It's always getting more and more traumatic. It's not like you just have to find the tools and learn the skills to be able to mitigate that trauma to yourself and learn how to deal with it and compartmentalize or or work it out. Do what you need to do, the self-work that helps you mitigate this pain that you're going to overcome for the rest of your life.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's not going to get better. There's only going to be more stress.
That's incredibly important. Life is going to be life.
Right.
The only peace you're going to have is if you continue to develop and grow, that you can handle stuff, because the surrounding stuff is going to be crazy because we have no control over it.
And it's only going to get worse. You lose more people you love, you get sick,
Yes.
you have to pay more bills, hospital bills, things happen that you can't control. Close friends, family, children might perish and you're still alive for whatever reason. You have to deal with those things constantly and more the older that you get. And then you might end up alone in some home where people you don't know take care of you. Then you have to learn how to deal with that before your death. Mm-hmm. And so if you think that it's going to get easier, I think that that's a complete, that's like the falsest thing that we can think. But I think that the hope is that we learn how to deal with it and keep a personally high homeostasis, like with emotionally, through all of that.
Mm-hmm.
Try to keep things even through those big traumas and big things. I think that's why ice bathing is so popular now. People are using that to learn how to deal with these traumas.
Yeah. I mean, and we've got to admit, the world around us isn't a dumpster fire. I mean, we are,
and it always has been.
Yeah. Yes. It's burning.
That's also a really good point. Like, it's always kind of been shitty.
And on a personal note, I think that it's probably a little better than it was, let's say, like the 1600s.
Sure. Okay. Yeah.
I mean, we're fundamentally getting better. We're living longer. It's a little bit easier for the regular human on a day-to-day basis. There is a ton of blunders, but maybe not as much as there were 200, 300 years ago, right?
Sure. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I think, I mean, yes, there are obviously, I mean, medical care, technology, there's so many things that are better. Quality of life is much different than it used to be.
Even the definition.
Yes. It's just crazy because as we get better things, new challenges come up. So with technology, you have all these challenges with like gun violence. You didn't have that kind of guns in the 1600s. So, I mean, every time
when somebody had to load a musket ball, they weren't shooting at any humans because they would have gotten, they would have run up on and stabbed before they. You're like a mile away. You're like, I think James is loading his rifle down there. And they're like, well, you better run down there and get him before he gets that thing.
I don't know. This takes this motherfucker like 20 minutes to load it.
Like, Jessup, you better get that thing loaded. They're coming. Like, I'm trying, boss. I'm trying.
It's a faulty system.
Give me 5 more minutes.
They're coming.
I needed another ball to put in my gun.
Yeah.
Just one more ball ought to do it.
This one's irregular. Give me a new ball.
Oh
One of my
fuck.
balls is bigger than the other balls. I'm not sure who
Hey,
put that.
that's common. Like you see, that's why I've always compared balls to breasts. You
You
know.
guys have two?
I mean, they're both are irregular. I mean,
Yeah.
they're the idea of symmetrical balls or symmetrical breasts are just unrealistic.
A myth. You heard it here first,
I,
people.
I did have my balls fixed so that they are exactly symmetrical.
But that's different.
It was worth it. It was worth the surgery because, I mean, nobody else sees them, but I look in the mirror and I'm proud.
Yeah, and I mean, Wes Anderson would be proud because it's perfectly symmetrical.
Perfectly symmetrical. That's a deep dive joke. That's like an art house film joke.
I got them all day, baby. Art house set.
They would probably have a bow tie on them, the balls, if they were in a Wes Anderson movie.
Oh yeah, and there'd be a pastel fucking color palette.
Or maybe a
There'd
bolo.
a bolo.
Maybe a bolo.
A little bolo for
A
your
little bolo.
bolos.
Yeah, it'd be like a tiny bolo down there.
That would be a good product.
Oh,
A bolo.
and it'd be
Bolo.
A bolo.
And it would tighten up.
Mhm.
It would be like a
Yeah.
cock ring that's a
ball ring.
yeah, but a bolo.
But a bolo.
I
Bolo
think we're
tie.
onto something here, like kind of fashion for the testicles. A bolo.
It's functional and fashionable.
You gotta get the fucking not the top hat, but the Texas like 10-foot gallon hat. If you're gonna have a bolo tie.
Yeah, but it vibrates. Then you got to get the vibrating top hat.
Oh yeah.
Speaking
Guys.
of like testicles, there's been quite a bit of a change between, I guess, manscaping or whatever it's called now, from the 70s to now, because 70s was like everything was just natural and you were like, there was just hair everywhere. And so we've gone from hair everywhere to nothing. I think we're moving back into sort of in between.
It's evening out.
I think
it's evening out.
I think the culture as like a whole has become it's become more vast, I feel, or rather more of the vast things are brought to the forefront. So there's already these like niche communities that you can subscribe to, and I think there's going to be people with body hair, there's going to be people with no body hair.
Yeah.
There's going to be people that
I think it's definitely more acceptable to do whatever you want with your body hair nowadays.
Exactly.
So like
Yes.
instead of being like, I feel like in the 80s, it was like everybody, there was like the landing strip,
Yeah.
It's like everybody had that, it was like the thing. Like you had
in
that
the
thing.
80s, you had the landing strip.
It's true.
I had curated a landing strip that went all the way up my body. So it was like a strip all the way up my chest and it tied into my beard. So
it was like a landing
very
port.
long. It was, yes, it was incredibly long.
It's like a full port.
I think I created that design.
You heard it here first, folks.
Yeah, there was the landing strip. There was the little.
If you can get us a dated picture, we would appreciate that.
I don't think there were cameras at that time.
Not ones you could afford, probably.
Yeah, there were also like the triangle. I don't know if anybody remembers the triangle.
Oh yeah.
Was another thing besides the landing strip.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes a heart.
Right.
A heart definitely was like, I'm promiscuous. I don't know. I wasn't alive in this time period. I can only assume though, but I've done the research.
Well, you've been alive, Tyler, during the rhinestones, the bedazzling.
Yeah, bedazzled.
This is true.
So there's no hair, but
I don't know if I ever saw any
shiny
bedazzling in person.
No bedazzling in person. I have.
Have you? Maybe you're a little younger than me. Maybe that's the gauge gap.
Yeah, maybe I was in the. Maybe I'm part of the bedazzle generation.
The bejazzle.
The bejazzle.
Guys don't do that a whole lot.
No, we don't typically like. I don't know. We don't like. I think we're very just naturally dirty creatures.
Yeah, we're filthy.
Is what I think. I think guys are just generally gross. We stuff our trash on the couches and we fucking.
Oh God, that makes
Yeah.
Alex so mad. She'll be like, "Why is there a Carmelo wrapper in the chair?"
I
Somebody
mean,
would just
hold on.
stuff it down
Hold
there.
on.
I'm like, I don't know. I can't believe somebody would do that.
And it's you.
100% it's me. I'm like, God, fucking kids,
You don't blame me, do you?
Fucking
Okay,
kids.
cool.
No, I don't think I blame
I
you
don't want
for
her to
it. I
think
mean,
because I'm not
maybe.
a stuffer.
Maybe you should verbalize that the next time you get down.
Hey, Alex, just want to let you know. I don't. I never. I stuffed any trash.
The standards of beauty and aging are very different for men and women. You got like Gerard Depardieu, like as the French sex symbol, and he's like just hideous. And you know, it's or Jack Nicholson now. I mean, like, or women are expected to be a little different than men. Men's age gracefully. Women are expected to not age.
Right, which
I
is kind of
know.
weird.
Yeah. Because, I mean, I fucks with some older ladies. I think older
I think
ladies are beautiful.
I think old. I think yeah, I do too. But it's in a Hollywood kind of sense. It's like no, we're going to have Harrison Ford at 80 dating a 24-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, I think that's changing as the Heather Locklears and these beautiful women that have been in the public eye for so long are getting older. I mean, they're aging amazingly. I mean, either they're aging amazingly or they've got monster face from doing too much plastic surgery. Like one of the two. You know, it depends on if you started plastic surgery before the 2000s or not. You know.
Well, I think, I mean, I think Hollywood is changing to an extent, but like, I do understand what you're saying. Like, they do tend to cast like older men to have these younger, partners, younger like love interest in movies. And I've especially read stories about actresses not getting roles because they were like too old for the role.
Mm-hmm.
And the person ended up getting it would be like a 20, 21, 22-year old. And it's just
Yeah,
like, and I
the
think it's just,
window is much shorter for women in Hollywood. Men can
For
just do it
sure.
as long as they want. Women have a shorter window before they have to start playing wives and mothers.
mm-hmm. And you know, hold on, let me get my thought together. I almost got it. Fuck.
Go, Tyler.
I
Go.
lost it. I lost
You can do it, Tyler. We believe in you.
Let me see. Let me think. I think it's changing.
There you go. There you go, big guy.
But we still have a long way to go.
Yeah, I think that definitely. Well, I mean, just like Alex, my girlfriend works in sports, and she is a woman, which that's a very tough field to be in. It's like it's like I feel like that if I mean, she's got a master's degree. A lot of the men that she works around definitely aren't as educated as her. And they get paid more than her. They have easier jobs. They don't get as much, shit. Like they don't get, like she was just, anytime that anybody has a disagreement with her, or it's just like, oh well, these women can't get along with anybody. You know what I'm saying? It's like crazy. It's like no, that person wasn't doing their fucking job. And I had an issue with it, and now it's like women can't get along. You know how these women are, being all catty. It's like no, but she has to deal with that still, and it's freaking. I think that's insane.
I think it's changing a little bit, and I'm very excited about young folks, including y'all, seeing things differently, changing the rules. It's got to happen through young people voting, young people changing expectations, fighting the rules that are there, asking questions. Why are these the rules? Why do we do these things this way? Why do we work a 40-hour week? These questions, like, it's just like, they don't make any sense.
Or why do we have to work a 40-hour week to be able to survive on a minimal basis? Why is that the minimum?
Yes.
Why do I need a 40-hour week plus I need a side hustle Plus, I need to make a
Yeah.
little extra money doing this other stuff. Plus, I need a little passive income.
Plus, I gotta sell drugs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And so,
When did it start that you have to work a full-time job and a part-time job? You have to
yeah.
have a side gig.
And then you have to find out, you have to have either like passive income, you know, that income that you get from not doing anything. You're like, you have to have that too. They're like, oh, yeah. You have to make another income while you're making an income.
You can't just
Like,
rest.
fucking cool. Great. That's what you need to survive these days? Jesus.
Yeah, it's insane.
Yeah. hmm And they're like, oh, in
That's
retirement, you'll never get that.
Yeah, and that's I definitely feel like that should be a show one time. Is just talking about that, like trying to exist in this society is traumatic. Just trying to pay basic bills and rent.
Yep.
It's insane.
It's the harder way to live. I was in a situation for a long time where my father was a drug addict and he lived in a house with a bunch of people that were on drugs, and so everybody would complain about how bad their life was, and I would come in and I would say, well, listen, you guys don't have to take care of your kids. You don't have to worry about where you're getting your next meal from. You don't have to worry about rent because you're just all living here. You don't have to worry about needing a car or going to work or getting a job or, you know what I'm saying? Like paying bills. You don't have anything to worry. You've washed out everything that you have to worry about. I was like, you're living fundamentally the easier life. Like, I have to get up every morning, take care of a kid, make sure I'm fed, make sure he's fed, make sure everybody's alive, pay all the bills, make sure, pay his bills, do everything. And that's like, and then it's like, and then as a regular person that's not a drug addict, we're just expected to do it all. And then, like, I don't know, it's like a crazy dichotomy. How those people that are complaining about how bad their life are, really, that's like their life is very bad, and I wouldn't want to be in their position. But to complain about it being like hard is, I don't know, hard is not, that's the easier way.
I think it's a different kind of
It's a
hard.
different kind of hard for sure. It is hard. I wouldn't want to live that life. And I think that it is one of the hardest things that somebody has to go through is addiction and living that type of life. But it's so hard. You can't have any other hard in your life.
Right.
Like you have to wash out every other bit of hard. You can't have a bill.
The struggle becomes the substance.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Yeah.
You can't take care of your kids. No other struggle matters more than that one struggle. You really consolidate your struggles into the one thing.
It simplifies and complicates your life at the same time.
Absolutely.
Because you have one desire and need that you are constantly trying to meet, instead of, as a person that does not have a use disorder, you have hundreds of things you have to deal with. And so it does simplify, but it also is a miserable way to live.
Right, unbelievably miserable. Yeah, I don't think I actually don't think one person would say that it's a good way to live.
No.
That's actually addicted to a substance. Not one of them wants to be.
No, exactly.
My dad would say a lot that he was never getting clean. Like he was because he was old at the time. I mean, he went to prison and he's clean now, and he has a very different view on it currently. But he would always say that he had no desire to get clean, but he didn't want to. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like you could tell he didn't want to be a drug addict, but he also had no desire to be clean ever again.
Yeah,
he had just accepted that this was his fate for the rest of his life.
Yeah, it's just like you were talking about with your ex-wife earlier. She had, until she got some of her stuff taken care of, she was in a cycle of misery.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's the same thing. You have to just get through whatever's going on and work through your problems, and then you can be happy. With any kind of issue, mental health issue, you have to do that.
I think that's what it boils down to, is that it's a mental health issue.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, it's yeah. We can definitely talk about, I mean, addiction is something that I'm really fascinated with, and
for sure.
The way that we've talked about addiction has changed so much, because now we truly believe it's a disease model. They actually changed. The whole language is changing. It's like a use disorder now, because we're trying to separate the person from the disease. And so obviously there's choices that go on, but if you treat it more like a disease, then it's not like, oh, they're a dirty addict. It's like they're a person that has a use disorder. of whatever drug it is.
So
And so then you
they're
separate.
afflicted with a
So-
problem.
Yes, just like we all have a problem.
Hmm.
Definitely.
Well, you know, this could be a lead into the next time we have Ken on. We can touch
Yeah,
more
I think maybe
on.
we could talk to them about addiction. Addiction is traumatic.
It is very
And there's
traumatic
all
for
kinds of
everybody involved. I think that me personally, I've definitely been traumatized
Oh, yeah.
multiple times
Oh,
by
yeah, same here.
addiction.
Same here. I think
So-
that's mine and Ken's big bonding point.
It definitely is. It's what makes us see eye to eye. I think on a lot of actions and a lot of the things that the way that we do stuff is very similar because of the way that we grew up very similar.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think we should definitely do a whole episode on that.
Mm,
Oh, yeah.
I'm into that.
You know, I think.
Y'all could tell your stories, and I could sort of tell the stories of working with people, and we sort of just compare our notes.
Yeah, you can tell us how fucked up we are on the
Yeah,
line because boy, I've got some good ones.
I know I have some really good ones too, actually. So it'll be a fun little episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can talk about it, and then we can go get just blasted.
Yeah, for sure. I'll bring
Exactly.
heroin with fentanyl in it.
You bring the heroin, yes.
You bring the heroin,
What-
I'll bring the needles.
Tyler, we use
What?
dirty
So-
needles around here.
We
what
share.
could possibly go wrong from one shot of heroin to the forehead? I mean, how
Right.
could that go wrong?
To the dome.
Yeah.
To the dome.
And on that note, I think it's a good time to close out the episode here. You guys have any final thoughts? I love how we went
You-
everywhere.
Yeah, you guys final
It was
thought.
a great
I'm just
discussion.
along for the ride here.
No, it's a great discussion of just like we went from weddings to fucking all over the place, and I love it.
Right.
Yeah.
So I guess
And I think we all learned a little something about each other.
I think so too.
I think so.
I think so too. I guess on that note, this has been Everything is Traumatic. I'm Tyler.
I'm Jeff.
And I'm Ken.
And we are signing off, just reminding you that your hands are tied with our hands. Play us out.